Gran's Jump U had its startup reduced by 2 frames in total, going from a 12-frame aerial attack to a 10-frame aerial attack. It's a small buff overall. It's still the slowest aerial normal by far, about 3 frames slower now than his Jump Heavy Slash, but it does mean that it is a little better for some situations. Maybe better as an air-to-air tool, or better as a cross-up tool that's able to hit earlier. So there's some niche applications to this buff, I would argue. If I'm missing something, do let me know in the comments section, not only for this change, but for any other changes that we go over in the video. Gran's Ultimate Fireball got a few changes. Its recovery and total animation have been reduced by 2 frames, which changes the frame advantage from -4 to -2 at a point-blank block. It now also causes a wall bounce on hit.
Great.
It's a good thing to note that the wall bounce only happens when the opponent is cornered. He'll enjoy the extra frame advantage on hit and mid-screen to close the gap further and run his offense, while he can use this in the corner to get new combo routes and extensions that he didn't have before. Rising Sword has also seen a few adjustments to the medium and heavy version of it. The medium version has a larger vertical hitbox that's been expanded upwards. This is very hard for me to visualize in training mode without the use of any sort of hitbox viewer, so I'd recommend looking that up on something like Dustloop in case those resources do get posted there. The heavy version has a couple of more easy to digest changes. The block stun for the first swing has been increased from 18 frames to 33 frames, which now means it forms a true block string into the second swing. As you can see here, the opponent Gran is able to actually mash out and get the start of a punish here. This is how it behaves in the new version. As you can see, the enemy is not able to jab between the 2 hits. I think this is namely here to make it so that new players don't get knowledge checked by this DP having a follow-up hit. You know, getting too excited to go for a punish, hitting a button that's too slow, and then getting caught by the DP a second time. Instead, they're forced to block the entire thing out and wait for Gran to go into true recovery from the DP and then go for the punish. So overall, it's a bit of a nerf, but one that really only helps new players that didn't understand this aspect of Grans Kid. It did receive a quality of life buff as well. The first swing is now unrecoverable, which means you can't take out of it. There could be some cases where Gran goes for a DP and only the first hit connects, then the opponent would be able to recover in the air or recover on landing, and then get up and punish him as he continued to do the second swing of the attack and get a full combo for it. Now, if you get hit only by the first swing and not the second swing, then you are put into a hard knockdown state, and therefore that means that Gran is no longer able to be punished. It's very hard for me to recreate this in training mode without an offhand example readily available, so I do want to at least mention it here, but just be aware that it's a little safer to throw out DPs, and you don't have to worry about getting punished for making the right read of the DP, but because of circumstance, the second hit whiffs, and all of a sudden you're now punished when you should have just been completely safe to begin with on success. Gran's Light Overdrive Surge has a few changes in this patch. The first one I would argue is a nerf. When used at a distance, the follow-up attacks will come out faster, thus forcing a true block string. As you can see here, the dummy set to mash actually gets frame trapped by this follow-up. This meant that Gran could have a poke where he would be able to force an RPS situation where either you had to respect him and let him take his turn back again, or if you try to contest, he could frame trap you for a little bit of damage. With the medium follow-up being a true string from the Light Overdrive Surge at a distance now, he's not able to use this as a poking tool to create an RPS situation. Instead, if he commits to the medium follow-up, he's going to get punished. To compensate for this nerf of it as a neutral poke tool, they did improve its combo utility by giving Light Overdrive Surge a heavy follow-up that causes a wall bounce. Medium Overdrive Surge also received a couple of buffs by having a new sweet spot hitbox, if you will. If you connect the move within the first 4 frames of its active frames, you get 300 more damage and as well as a launch on grounded foes. This would be the situation if you hit this point blank in the previous patch. And this is what the situation looks like if you connect this close range hit now. You do 1,500 damage raw, up from 1,200 at close range, as well as get a knockdown with good corner carry that you can actually go up and run some offense off it with. I'm pretty sure Gran appreciates this to diversify his reliable knockdowns in his combo strings. Ultimate Overdrive Surge also received a buff. The ground bounce height on a successful hit has been extended, which means that you have a larger window for follow-up attacks. In the previous patch, you could link a close medium slash here, but close heavy slash would whiff.
Excellent.
Now you can actually link that close heavy slash.
Excellent.
This will give you a minor increase of damage for Gran, which again, he'll appreciate. As you can see, you're much closer to the opponent. This probably just means that it's more reliable for characters that have like a 6-frame startup close medium slash to get a consistent punish on Gran. Sometimes you could be spaced outside of this proximity zone, and that's probably something that some characters are going to notice while other characters won't due to the proximity range of their normals. The rest of Gran's changes largely apply to his power raise mechanic. For starters, there is now a nice little power raise gauge underneath his SBA gauge to show you the levels that you are at. This way, you and the opponent can track just how strong this move is charged up from Gran. The overall levels have been reduced as well, but each of the levels have been buffed to compensate. The idea here basically is that Gran is able to hit full power with this move faster without having to invest as much time into charging it up overall. The startup has been reduced by a single frame, so now it's 19 frame startup. This means that you can charge more meter more reliably faster, but only by a little bit. Each of the power levels have also been adjusted slightly. I'll go ahead and just demonstrate them here for you all. At level 0, you're always able to link it to a far-standing light and other attacks on counter hit. This means that Gran can consistently be rewarded for this if he catches the opponent trying to mash on him or using this as a poke and neutral. At charge level 1, you're able to link a far medium slash after it on any hit. Do keep in mind this feels like it's pretty point-blank range against another Gran. This might vary across the cast based on the different sizes of hurtbox that you're interacting with. So something to keep in mind. It's not going to be consistent in every situation, but the opportunity is still there. Level 2 follows a similar scale in reward. You're able to link a far-standing heavy slash and as well as other attacks on hit. One element of this, though, is that it no longer causes wall bounce on regular hit. Considering that you still get a heavy slash in this situation anyway, it's really a non-point overall. However, interestingly enough, you still get a wall bounce on counter hit with this level.
Great.
We'll see if this has any practical match utility. At the very least, it probably means that if the opponent goes for a Brave counter input and you're able to create a cap by going into your raising charge, you should be able to get a really big combo on them for this at any point on the screen.
Excellent.
This feels like what they're trying to do is make this move more viable to use, specifically against a Brave counter callout. If you're able to read it correctly, you're able to just have a built-in starting combo to punish the enemy for trying to Brave counter you. I kind of like this change overall. Of course, if you have the wrong read, it does mean that the opponent has an opportunity to hit you out of it, but it's still nice to see that they're trying to give characters unique options to call out Brave counter so far. Power Raise level 3 has the most significant buffs. Frame 15 onward, you have full invincibility with the strike. You're able to link a crouching heavy attack on a successful hit, and the counter hit still will cause a wall bounce as well. This can lead to some high damage sequences against the opponent. While the iframes from Power Raise mean that you're able to pretty consistently frame trap the opponent, and again, with the counter hit, get a full pickup from it as well, it does not necessarily work as a means to deal with a Brave counter in the block string. Brave counter comes out too fast, and if they time it correctly, you will get hit out of this one. This is more or less going to function as a means, though, if you're able to call out when they're going to do Brave counter. A moment or so before, you'll create a situation where they go into the startup of Raging Strike and you get a guaranteed punish without having to worry about a situation where you accidentally hold the charge for too long and get hit out of it or any other sort of random occurrences that can happen in a sequence like that. Overall, it's a pretty good buff for Gran. The last change Gran received was to Catastrophe. The projectile activation is now more forward, which expands its overall reach. This might mean it's more reliable to connect in some combos. It might be able to interact against some of the opponents' kit a little bit better. It's really hard to view, though, in a head-to-head example like this, so I'd recommend finding a hitbox viewer to explore this further. Overall, Gran is buffed in this patch. His power raise might actually have a niece as an anti-brave counter tool system, as well as having new combo routes and rewards for using his overdrive surges. He does lose a couple of things that were largely things that preyed against low-level opponents, like the overdrive surge frame traps at a distance, or the gap between his DP, but I think he's more than happy to trade some of those away for the overall improvements that he has. We're going to be seeing new combo routes from Gran, higher damage for that as well, and overall, maybe he'll get some top-level representation going forward in this patch. I don't really think of any high-level player that I can think of that's played Gran. Let me know in the comments which player you're excited to see try to give Gran a try.